Dez, just get on in here. And let's go ahead and get started. So, I feel like my eyes look so sleepy. Okay, that looks better. Whatever. So, so let's dive on in here. I would like to say that I have 429. So we are slowly making progress. Just almost there. 71 more to go. 71 more subscribers to go. We need that. Give me that. I'm trying to stream on Instagram more. So if you're on Instagram, hello. Stay tuned. We got things to talk about. Like the video, please. And we're gonna dive in. Uh-oh. I'm always doing the most. Okay, so we're gonna hop right in because I got a lot to talk about and I'm not trying to be here all night. I got things to do. Now, I told y'all, and most people knew, if you were paying attention to college football and you were paying attention to what's going on, then you already knew that James Franklin was going to have a job. I literally sat on here 2 shows in a row. The first show, well, 3 shows, because the first show I announced that he got fired. The second show I was like, Virginia Tech is probably going to sign him, and they took their time a little bit, I think he wanted to, throw his net out to see, who was going to catch, but he ended up going to Virginia. And then the third time I sat here and I was like, I watched him on College Game Day, and I felt sorry for his daughters because he had his daughters going to Penn State, but I understood free education. I understood all that. So I wonder now if his daughter's going to go to Virginia Tech. I don't know. But I said the guy's a winner, and he's going to go to a really good program. And I think in essence of having, he has his boots on the ground when it comes to recruiting in the DMV area. So I think he's going to be really successful there. I wonder how many players from Penn State are going to want to come to Tech. And I don't know. I just want to see what he's going to do to turn this program around. I think he's going to do really well. I think he is a winning coach. He has a winning culture, and joining in the the ACC. I think he's going to do really good. Coaches have already been welcoming him in and everything. So it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, keep your head on the swivel, because Virginia Tech may come out of nowhere and just really start laying down the hammer. Because James Franklin is a winner. And that's what happens when you're a winner. Winners end up winning. Okay? So congratulations to James Franklin. I had already announced this anyway, but I had to talk about on the show. For taking your new job and going to win. I don't think he'll win a national championship like he said on College Game Day. That's the one thing I said I did not agree with. When he was on College Game Day, I felt like he was a little delulu up and down. You got a lot of teams to get through. And one major team that you always have to get through is Georgia and Ohio State. I think they're going to be top of the top for the longest time, because at the end of the day, the dogs be on top. We can't act like we don't know that. So I don't know how far you actually going to get, but wishful thinking. Okay, wishful thinking. Moving on. Lane Kiffin said that the ultimatum that y'all said that he had is not true. Not true. He sat down with Pat and was like, no. I love it here. We're doing great. Great position. That's where we're supposed to be. We're good. They didn't give me an ultimatum. He did. I didn't watch the full episode because I was trying to do a whole bunch of things. Part of me feels like Ole Miss obviously doesn't want to let him go. I think he does love Ole Miss. I do. I really think that he likes being at Ole Miss, especially just from him, the relationship that he has with the players. You can just see their respect and everything. I think he likes it there. But we've seen coaches before where they like it there, love it there, and they end up going somewhere else because the bag was just bigger somewhere else, or the opportunity was just bigger somewhere else. And they were thinking, I guess with longevity and financial stability in the longer term than being at a place that you love. Not all coaches, but some coaches. So we've seen it before. So I think part of that is, people are still trying to figuring out like, well, is he gonna go? Is he gonna stay? Is he gonna go? Is he gonna stay? Like there is no like, yes, he's gonna stay. Yes, no. And I think that will not happen until Ole Miss gives him a contract extension. Indiana already wrapped up Siggy over there. Uh, Rule got his contract. I think if Ole Miss throws some money into the fight on top of what he already has, as I said before, I think it'll be an automatic lock. He'll sign that extension, and then there'll be no more talks about it. But until they do that, and it's kind of like when you're trying to test the noodles for when they're cooked, so like spaghetti noodles, and you throw them at the wall. I don't know if y'all do that. I used to do that. When you throw it at the wall, and then if it sticks, you're staying. If it doesn't stick, it's going to fall. So I think we're just waiting to see if Lane is going to stick to the wall. And I think a part of that is Ole Miss stepping up to the plate, like I said, and, beefing up whatever contract he already has. Just beef it up some more. They got money somewhere. They can find it. It's Ole Miss. They can find it. I know they can. Like that whole deep south down there, the Mississippi, Texas, Louisiana, Alabama, they got money down there. That's real money down there. So y'all better find it from somewhere. Y'all better knock on them alumni door and y'all love football so much, don't y'all? They be having chandeliers. They be having chandeliers at tailgate. You better sell some of them chandeliers out there and get them, sign them, wrap it up. Because the transfer portal is about to open. Signing day is about to come. You only get one transfer portal. So sign them. Sign them. Throw the money at the wall and see if it sticks. But he did say the ultimatum was null and void. He said, stop playing on this top. Ole Miss didn't do that to him. But okay. No, I'm gonna talk about this after. Because I gotta talk about this first. Y'all, I watched the recap of this game. I watched the highlights. I ain't gonna lie, I watched the highlights like 5 times. I don't know whether Texas A&M is just really that good, or if South Carolina just they're not bad. They're not bad because they were up 30-3 by halftime. So I don't want to say that they're bad, but they ain't good either. Like, how do you not score any points in the second half of a football game where you were leading 30-3 going into the half? Do y'all see what I'm saying? 30-3 at the half. And then you let them score 31, technically it'll be 28 unanswered points in the second half. Texas A&M is exactly who they think they are. That's it. I don't even have anything else to say. Because how in the world? Literally, it's like the teams traded places after halftime. Like, all the explosive plays and the runs, all of that started to happen for Texas A&M after halftime. And everything with Reed, not reading the coverage is great. Missed passes, like all that stuff happened to South Carolina after halftime. And Lenoris Sellers, even though I said that, he may be going into the transfer portal and everything, but like, he has not been the same player. And I said this before, he has not been the same player that he was last year when everybody was ranting and raving about him when he first, hit the scene and started having all eyes on him. And I don't know if that's just him not playing his very best, or him just thinking that he already is who he is and he doesn't have to put in more effort, or if it's a combination of the both. And I think that, sure, could he go somewhere in the transfer portal? Sure, they know what type of player he can be. But I feel like this was his year to really fully develop into the player that he wants everybody to know that he is, especially having his little brother on the team now. It's like, this should be lights out, But running out of bounds and getting sacked on a fourth down is just kind of crazy. It's just kind of crazy, right? Like, kind of crazy. Now, again, it could be both. It could be two things happening at once. It could be offensive scheme and coaching, and then it could just also be Lenore's himself not playing the best, right? Because I think there's no way in my mind, I still can't fathom how we seen this A, and I don't even say A plus because they left points on the board too in terms of South Carolina, but we see this. I'm gonna give it an A though. This A product, B plus A product first half. Then second half, it's literally an F. It's literally an F. Like, what? Mind blown. Mind blown. Because I don't even know how that even happens. I don't even know. And I don't know what Texas A&M did at halftime. I feel like the coach went in there and was like, y'all funny. Y'all done now? Y'all ready to wake up? What's good? What's good? Like, I feel like he really went in there on some like, y'all playing with me? You know, like, when you real calm, when a person is calm, they're crazy. You might want to back off a little bit. Might want to back off a little bit and do right. Get it together. I feel like that's how the coach was with them. I feel like that's how he was in the locker room. I feel like he had to be like that. He had to be like, y'all playing with me. Mm-hmm. Don't believe me, just watch. Like, he had to be like calm and it was like, is y'all done? Is you cool? Reed, is you cool? Is you good? Cause some of them throws up there. I don't know. Cause obviously I'm not in the locker room, but I just feel like it's either he was super calm and it shook them to their core, like, oh, coach might not be playing with us today. We lose this game here. Or he was super amped up and like cursing them out and throwing and going crazy on them. But I feel like he was probably super calm and he probably didn't understand like, why are you so calm? What's going on? And then they went out and they just flipped the light switch on. The light switch just came on and it was no longer dark and A&M was just turning things up. They were just turning things up. Reed had over 400 yards. What? I'm still y'all. I can talk about this. I'm gonna move on because I literally could just talk about this because I'm still just like highway mind blown how they scored 28 points in the second half and South Carolina didn't even score anything. I mean, they came back. They almost messed it up at the end. They was this close to messing it up at the end, but they didn't mess it up. And it was just like I'm mind blown. I'm mind blown. But that does bring me to the first image that I had up, which was the trooper here, right? Boom. That brings me to this trooper guy. So as you can see on the little picture, I chose this one for a reason. At some point in the game, I had to turn it off because I had to go into my own thing. So I literally didn't see all of this, right? I had to go back and look at the highlights. So I was confused. I thought that this happened at the beginning of the game, like when they were walking out of the tunnel. It did not happen at the beginning of the game. It happened basically toward halftime, right? So number 8 on South Carolina ran it down, and then at the end he's running into the tunnel, and it looks like he put a hamstring or something, like he was a little hurt, like he had to turn on the jets, right? And sometimes you can like pull something, strain something, or maybe you get a little lactic acid going or something. I don't know, whatever it was. So his teammates went down the tunnel with him, trying to get him and trying to make sure that he's good and he's cool. And afterwards, as they were coming down, Mr. Trooper Man goes through and bumps them, turns around and points at them, telling them to get out the tunnel. And I do commend Texas A&M for being on it, but they really had no other. I don't want to say they didn't have another choice, but they really didn't have another choice because it had already spread like wildfire onto the internet. So they had no other choice but to send him home. You're done. We're cool off you. You're done, right? Because it was unacceptable. And at the end of the day, you're a grown man and you are an officer, and they are students in helmets. And he just went down the tunnel. Like, it's, I felt like he overreacted. But if you see the score, If you see the score, I really think he was acting like a fan and not a cop or a trooper, excuse me, and not a trooper. And I'm gonna tread lightly when I say this, but troopers already, some of them be already bucking. I haven't met a nice trooper yet. Knock on wood. You know, I just haven't. I haven't. And when the one time I ran into one, he was very mean to me, and I was like, you know, okay, thank you. You know, let me throw that negative energy over there. So I already think that they're not nice. They're not nice people. You know, and most of them that I know are that I've seen are men. So they're not nice men. They're not nice people. So I already can already feel the energy. You know, being not being nice as a trooper, and then you being pissed that your team is losing to this team who only has 3 wins, and you're trying to figure out how the heck is this happening. We're 9-0, and they're 3-6, and we're losing by 23 points. How? How is this happening? Right? So he was pissed, but still unacceptable. And they sent him home. They sent him home. What he could have did is he could have got on there and apologized. Like, he could have got on his platform and apologized. I mean, people probably didn't want to hear it anyway, but, you know, I feel like that would have been a good measure. You know, some people are calling him for him to be fired. I don't know if they're saying fired from like stadium duties or fired from being a trooper. That's not going to happen. I think that's a little unrealistic there. That's not going to happen. And I think, you know, I don't think the school can fine him and say you're fined for this and this that, because I think if it was like an employee or something like that, you know, schools love to fine people. Conferences love to fine people. They just want their money. So I don't know, but I feel like they did a great job with sending him home, like immediately relieving him from his duties, because that's just showing that is a non-tolerance. We don't tolerate that type of behavior, especially towards student athletes, because we don't care if you're pissed off. You are there to actually do a job and make sure that they're safe. You could have went down a tunnel, or you could have been like, yo, are you good? Are you cool? You need some help? That should have been the approach, rather than going down the tunnel and being like, get out my tunnel, because you're mad. So, you know, everybody has mixed feelings about it. For me, like I said, it was wrong, and it was just very stupid to me of why he would even do that, and why he would act that way. But again, I think that he was like, his mindset was in the mindset of a fan and not as an officer. And if he did have the mindset of an officer, it kind of makes me nervous. It does. This is not one of those race things or anything like that. It's not that. It's literally trooper. Okay, because the trooper that I got that I was approached by was a man of color. Okay. And I had to, like I said, I threw my little energy over there. Right. So I think like if you are like this on a regular basis, like, are you like this when nobody else is watching? Are you like this, like when you pull somebody over? Like, that makes me nervous. Right. That just makes me a little nervous. But we don't know. I think he was probably in a bad mood. He reacted really, really poorly, and it was really, really unacceptable. And hopefully he doesn't get a chance to come back. I mean, I think that's fair. You know, like if you can't act accordingly, and everybody, 105,000 people saw you, and plus now the World Wide Web, maybe you don't deserve to have a post here on game days. Maybe you don't ever again. Maybe like a 1-year suspension. You need to learn a lesson. Get somebody else to do it. If you don't want to do it, get somebody else to do it. So I think like maybe that's fair. You know, maybe, I don't know. Let me know. But again, let me know. I just had to put it out there, because I was like, homeboy crazy. You know, some people were saying they would have rolled up on them and all that, and it's like, nah, y'all. No. Them troopers are not nice. They're not nice. I haven't met a nice one yet. I would love to meet a nice one. Change my mind. Because I have not met a nice one yet. Like, nowhere. In Maryland, in Georgia, South Carolina. We see it now. They're not nice in Texas. I haven't seen a nice one yet. I would love to meet a nice one. Change my mind. Change it. I've met nice cops. I've met really, really nice cops. Like really cool ones. I know a lot of nice cops. You know, and I think they do a world of justice. I think they do great work. But every trooper that I've ever known or came into has not been the most nicest person. Well, that's just that. We're gonna move on though, since we're talking about college football. So I cannot believe I stayed at 8:30 because I was going to get on here at 8:30 and just do the show and just get it done over with. But I cannot believe I sat around and I watched the college football playoffs show, like the ranking show, and it's the same rankings as this. What am I sitting around for? What am I waiting for? I don't know. Okay, but it's basically the same thing. Um, it sucks. It sucks that Rocky Top is at 20. It does. But I really deserve. At least they're in the top 25. Other teams can't say that. So, cool. Texas though, Texas confuses me. And I've said this for weeks now. Texas has confused me. I haven't watched enough Texas football for me to understand what their quality wins are. I'm not really sure. Really not. Notre Dame, I've always just had some smoke for them for some reason. I don't know why though, because I like Marcus Freeman. I don't know why like Notre Dame this year just been sitting on my shoulder as like like I just want to brush him off. I'm not really sure why that is. I know a lot of people are saying that, you know, they feel like because they're independent. I think this is the right one. I think this is the right one. This is the AP. What's the college football one? I think the college football one is flipped a little bit. I think. I don't know. I think this is right, but I don't know. I see too many graphs in a day. Long day, okay? And work blew my mind earlier. But anyway, so I think people say like Notre Dame kind of gets it off easy because they're independent and they are always like within the top of the ranks because they kind of get to just like free willy-nilly do what they want. And a lot of people say that Notre Dame should have to join a conference. I'm not sure if I agree or disagree with that. For some reason, for the longest time, I always thought that Notre Dame was in the ACC. I don't know why I thought that. I don't know where it flew out the window. I don't know where somebody told me that. But when I found out that they weren't in the ACC, I was like, okay, this is weird. Because why are you not in the ACC? I don't understand. But they just flow into what they want to do, and I think that's probably why I've always been like giving them the bombastic side eye because I'm just like, what is y'all doing? And how are they up? How are they up so high? But they're 8-2. They're 8-2. Alabama's 8-2. And Alabama got knocked down they're in the top 10, but they got knocked down because they lost to Oklahoma. Oklahoma came into Tuscaloosa and did their thing. So I kind of figured that Alabama would drop down to where Oklahoma was. Oklahoma would move up. They just adjusted the numbers a little bit. Oregon, I have yet to see Oregon play at all this season, and I just think it's because they're on the other side of I get Colorado games, so I don't know. I don't know why I haven't seen Oregon. I just feel like they're on the other side of the country, and I never see them. I never see them. I don't even see Michigan. So, and Michigan slid themselves back in there too. So I don't see these teams, and I have enough to watch on the day-to-day, so I'm not just going to go looking for Oregon. But we know they hold a good program. Texas Tech, I think is good. A lot of people are saying Texas Tech and Ole Miss should swap. So I'm covering my hands. Should swap in the rankings because they feel like Texas Tech is a stronger team. But that's neither here nor there. The Dogs are still up on top, coming in at number 4. And we saw that the way they beat up on Texas real bad. But I feel like they've been doing that for some time now. And at some point, Texas is going to get up and they're going to go from horns down to horns up. And they're going to get the Dogs. But I don't know when that's going to be. I'm not saying when that's going to be because I don't know when that's going to be. Okay, but those are the rankings coming in for week 13. Looks good. Sounds good. It's good. Okay. Now we are going to something I think that is kind of really, really interesting. I definitely just deleted something I wasn't supposed to delete on here. Ooh, okay. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Sticking with football though, well, really we're going to stick with the Big Ten. So the Big Ten and they're trying to sign this new deal. Where's the article at? It's a $2.4 billion deal. Now, you're probably like, why wouldn't they sign that? And hold on, y'all. Let me look it up on here so I don't have to keep typing and have my face awkwardly in the camera. That's just weird. That's just weird to me. Okay, Big Ten. And again, this is, y'all don't like to talk about news that y'all don't really see as much as you probably should see. But it says the Big Ten's $2.4 billion private capital plan with a California pension fund has been temporarily paused after opposition from Michigan and USC, who cited concerns over transparency and long-term benefits. The deal, which would involve a 10% stake in a new entity housing media rights for cash infusion, now faces uncertainty as the conference awaits unity amongst its members. So the deal, like I said, $2.4 billion. And this fund, the California Pension Fund, would own 10% stakes in the Big Ten. So I can understand there where people are like, do we want to, do we want somebody to own 10% of what we do and 10% of who we are and our media rights and things? So I can understand that. Michigan and USC publicly opposed the deal, and they said that the rising concerns are on transparency. How transparent is this deal really actually going to be? Because right now, a lot of the schools need money, and they're just looking at the aspects of money. But Michigan and USC both got really deep alumni pockets. How do you think Blair Underwood got there? Deep pockets. So they are not necessarily looking at the money. They're trying to look at the overall long-term contract, in which they're still in a long-term contract currently. So they're like, wait a minute, let's figure out what we're really doing here, right? And then it says, like, due to the opposition, the deal is on hold, and the California Pension Fund is waiting for basically all 18 members of the Big Ten to say yes. Okay, so trying to get, it looks like they're going to have a unanimous vote. It's going to have to be 18 out of 18, and that's going to be kind of hard, but they already got 16 on board because they like, money, honey, we need that, right? And I read something else where, USC was basically saying, or whoever one of the representatives was basically saying, like, that is a lot. That's a long-term deal because I think the deal goes on for maybe 21 years. So they're like, this is a lot to be locked in for 21 years when the landscape of sports is ever changing. Like, we don't even know what college football is going to look like in the next 4 to 5 years. And you want me to sign a deal now that's going to extend our contract for 21 years? And we've already been locked into a contract already to where we're not going to get out of it until like 2030, 2031. And we're going to sign a new deal that's going to take us 20 more years into the future. They're not about it. USC and Michigan is like, no, that's not sounding right to us. Because once you are locked into a certain deal, yes, you can do contract negotiations, but it's really hard to go back in and to try to do contract negotiations and to tweak it and to change it when things have already been done, signed, sealed, and delivered. Which is why the Rose Bowl is suing UCLA, as I reported on before, because they're trying to break out of their contract that they've had, and they're in UCLA is a part of that contract until like 2040 something. And UCLA is like, wait a minute, y'all. College football changing, y'all. We need to change it up. And Rose Bowl is like, no, you cannot. We will sue you for all the money that we have put in, all the money that we have left on this contract, and everything else we put in. It'll be like $1 billion. So UCLA is now stuck in a pickle because they can't move. So this contract with the Big Ten kind of is giving those vibes. We're going to lock you in for 20 years, for 2 decades. We're going to lock you in for 2 decades. We're going to own 10% of what you have. We're going to give you bukus of money. Every school is going to get at least $100 million. At least, at minimum. The bigger schools are going to get more, obviously. And, you're going to have your deals and your TV and all the other things. But when somebody has 10% stake in what you do, it may not sound like a lot to y'all. But 10% can turn into being very different. Look at Michigan and USC. They will be considered what 10% of the Big Ten right now, and they're saying no, they don't want to do it. So now they're at a holdout because like all the other schools are like, yo, we need the money. Our operations costs. We got to pay these athletes now for NIL with all of the sports, renovations that they've done on stadiums and arenas and all that other stuff, and they've built left, right, back and forth. They're trying to build volleyball arenas and gymnastics and new soccer fields and all these other stuff, and it costs money. So they're like, "Yo, we need the money. We need the money. We need it now." Okay, but the other schools are like, "No, we need to make sure that this deal is the most appropriate." And I can honestly, I understand that now. Because when I first read the headlines, again, y'all can't just read the headlines. You have to read what else is in the meaty, nitty, and the gritty, okay? But don't worry, I did it for you, so you wouldn't have to. But if you don't believe me, read it for yourself, okay? But yeah, so they're just like, no, we don't know about that. We don't know about that. And it basically also will start a new enterprise called the Big Ten Enterprises, and it'll be contingent of the schools extending their current grants of rights by 10 years through 2046. 2046 is a long time. That's a long time. That's a long time. So, I don't know, y'all. I'm going to keep y'all posted on this. We shall see what comes of this deal. I think if they, obviously, they're going to have to lower the money, but I think if they cut down the years or put like an amendum in there, I think that's how you say it, where they can, after every maybe like, if they're gonna hold you hostage for 2 decades, I think after every like 5 years, you should be able to like do an audit or do contract negotiations or something like that. There should be something where everyone comes back to the table and you kind of look at what you have going on, what you need, what you don't need, what works, what hasn't worked. Can the contract be amended in any type of way? I think that would look a little bit more feasible than them for just saying like, yeah, we're gonna give you 100 mil for 21 years and like that's it, because that money is going to go a lot quicker, right? That money's going to go a lot quicker than it seems. And I think that that's part of the problem. So I was just like, okay, Big Ten over there trying to make some moves. But y'all know who the big dogs of the Big Ten is. Y'all currently see. Just saying, when it comes to money wise. Okay. Now, do I have any more football, no more college football stuff? But I do want to give a huge shout out to Dallas Cowboys. They went into Las Vegas and showed the Raiders, basically they handed them their butt and they beat them 33-16, and they did a massive win for Marshawn Nealon. And I love the shirts they wore, the tributes that they did to them, Dak even talking before and after the game and really, just paying their ties. And honestly, I've said it on my other show too, but it sucks that it takes someone to pass away for people to start being cognizant of these things, or people starting to realize and wake up and understand what's going on. And it also makes me wonder where is, or if the Cowboys have a chaplain. And again, I know I talked about this, how some places are like so against chaplains, but this is where chaplaincy comes in right here. This is when you need the chaplains the most. And it doesn't have to be just one type of chaplain. There's all types of chaplains out there. But in this instance, where you are mourning your teammate, your friend, who feel like it's their family members, because the chaplains can also extend to his family members as well. You've lost a big part of your organization, and it was something that really struck all of you to the way and to the force of y'all are now acting different, talking different, being different, playing different. And this is when the chaplain can really come in and tie the two worlds together and help you be able to grieve and really navigate during this time. I've seen another player, he is with the Indianapolis Colts, and he just lost his daughter who would be 2 years old. And this is the time where a chaplain could come in and really help, especially a chaplain that also believes in mental health counseling, or who has basically a holistic approach to it. And I can only speak on this because that's what I'm studying in school. So, so I can only speak on it because I know that that's important. That's how important it is. You have to be able to have someone there who can be that person that's going to give you the most support, that is not, obviously you shouldn't be judged anyway for how you feel, but a person that knows what they're doing who can actually talk to you. Because yeah, you may want to talk to your brothers and everything, but clearly there's a disconnect somewhere where some people do not feel the most comfortable talking to their friends and their teammates and their family members about what they have going on. So there's another person there that's like your middleman, that's like the, the no strings attached person, and that person could help you along through this process. I know that they did have a chaplain before. I'm not sure if they currently do, but if they do, I would love to see more of him, and I would love to know, like, just shout out to the chaplain. I think a lot of people just kind of bypass all these things. And I said before, we need to make mental health cool. It needs to be cool. And if you somehow, some way, because this will not be the last instance. And I hate to say that, but there are so many people that are going through so much that it will not be the last time that someone either harms themselves, tries to harm themselves, or something like this happens. And I think it's really important to have staff on your team who is built to be able to help your team navigate through these times. But shout out to Dallas for really pulling it together. I'm really, 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 really proud of how they have really taken the ranks and have really just put it out there. And I'll give the NFL some credit as well, because the NFL went out and made sure that the teams, now have the suicide number, and they're putting it out there for their fans, and they're doing moment of silence and all those things. But I just want to know what's going to happen when all of this kinds of dies down a little bit, because we know that it will, if we're being honest. We know that it'll die down a little bit, but what is going to be put in place once that happens? That's where I'm at. That's where I want to see. But so far, so good. And I like what I see. Okay? And my last football topic. Now, Shedeur is supposed to be starting this week. Word on the curb is Mr. Sanders is going to get his official NFL debut. Week 12. Is it perfect timing or what? 12, week 12, he 12, start 12. And you know what? The worst that can happen is that they lose. The worst that can happen is that they lose. They already been losing. So, I mean, no, but seriously, I know that Dylan is still in concussion protocol, and they're really looking at him like, they want him to play. Stefanski wants him to play. Stefanski says if he clears protocol on Sunday morning, he playing. That's kind of like where the kind of energy and vibe I'm getting from Stefanski. So Stefanski wants Dylan to play, and that's okay. That's your guy. That's cool, fine and dandy. But right now, it's looking like Shedeur will get his official first start. Won't have to join in the game during, after halftime. So that means that hopefully during this week, he is practicing with the ones. He's, they're getting comfortable with him. He's getting comfortable with them, and they're going to figure out some type of game plan. So where the O-line is looking good and doing what they need to do, and the plays are designed so that way Shedeur can have success, right? So, and then Mr. Perfect Timing has to make sure he has perfect timing, has to make sure the ball is out of his hands. He ain't holding on it for too long. He's making the play. A couple of throws that he had, good. Receivers got to catch him. Looks good. Connecting with Jerry Jeudy. Connecting with is it Njoku? Y'all, I don't know the Browns players for real, because I don't really be watching. There's nothing to watch over there, right? But I feel like the team is going to rally behind him. I think the team is in support of him. We've already seen Myles Garrett come out and say it. We've seen a couple of his other teammates really talk about him. The center was like, I don't even know his snap count. I ain't never heard it before, but I just went out there and I just try to do my best. So hopefully the center feels better coming into this week, and hopefully he is set up to succeed. At the end of the day, you got to be set up to succeed. I know people are dogging him out like, oh, he was so trash. He was so trash. Like, we don't care. Okay. We don't care. Especially when you can't go out there and do it. You can't go out there and throw 4 complete passes. You can't even go out there and throw 16 attempted passes. So shut up. Shut up. Okay? Shut up. Okay? Going into a game at halftime, first of all, y'all act like he started the game. Y'all act like he started from quarter one and he worked his whole way through. You know, like he didn't do that. He went in after halftime, didn't have the best scenario or setup, and okay, he played like trash. We'll see if he played like trash this week coming in, and even if he does, he's a rookie. No, so what? He's a fifth rounder. Y'all keep talking about, oh, he a fifth rounder. He a fifth rounder. Okay, so if he go out there and play like a fifth rounder, it shouldn't be no smoke, right? Right? Y'all don't be making sense. Y'all don't be making sense. Y'all pick and choose who y'all want to dog on. And at the end of the day, he has people behind him who don't care, who don't care, who don't care. So they're gonna stand behind him regardless. The Browns fans love him. Hello, did you not see the standing ovation and the screams that they got? They had to quiet people down while he was out there so he could hear. The Browns fans love him. There's nothing that you can do about it. Some of them don't, and some of them do, but a lot of them do. I don't know where the lady got the spray paint to put the 12 on the back of the board. I don't know. Maybe she came prepared already. Maybe she knew something that we didn't know. But all the 12 jerseys that were in the crowd, they were so excited to see him. They were screaming, yelling. They were losing their minds out there. You know, yes, he didn't play the best, but I don't really think that they cared. They just wanted to see him in the game. He got in the game. He got in the game. Okay? So if week 12 is 12's time to shine, I pray that he goes out there and shines and shuts all of y'all up. I mean, no, you're not going to shut up anyway. Y'all not going to shut up anyway. Because when he played good in the preseason game, everybody, it was just a preseason. Okay. So you're not going to shut up. You're not going to shut up. Y'all not going to shut up regardless. Y'all always going to have something to say. This man can go out there and go 20 for 22, and y'all going to rag on the 2 passes that he didn't complete. So it doesn't matter. He's darned if he do. He's darned if he doesn't. If he sits on the bench after they lose and just wants to take it in and be like, darn, I really want to play better than that. You don't think he's hard on himself already? Then, that's saying that he doesn't care. If he gets up and goes smile in Lamar's face and be all up on Lamar's back and all up in all the Ravens' faces and all of that, then y'all gonna say, oh, he wasn't taking it serious. He out there playing around. So no matter what he does, he's darned either way. But I'm sending up some positive energy and some positive juju to 12 that when he goes out there for week 12, he gets it done. He gets it done. I don't think that they will win. I don't even know who they playing. That'll tell me. Who they playing? Who are they about to play? They play the Raiders. They could very much win. They play the Raiders. They can very much win. They're both 2-8. They can very much win. Geno Smith and Shedeur gonna be out there looking like the same quarterback. I said it. Okay, so it don't matter. It's gonna be the battle of the flailing quarterback running for their lives, just airing the ball out. Neither one of them is scared to air it out. They're gonna air it out. They're gonna have a good old time. They're gonna do what they want to do. They're professional athletes. They make more money than you. They're more athletic than you. They better than you. It don't matter. Okay, the same way that people were telling me, well, you dragging Caleb Williams, it don't matter. It don't matter at the end of the day. So whatever. Go out there 12. Do what you gotta do. Okay, do what you gotta do. And they're in Vegas. So the good thing is, too, it's going to be enclosed. So, I mean, come on, 12. Sure. Yeah. Do you, 12. Forget them. Forget them. And they're in Vegas, so they're close to Colorado. So I think that we might see Coach Prime in one of them sweet boxes. Oh, yeah, this is going to be good for them. This is going to be good for them. Good. I know who I forgot. Before I wrap this up. Because I previously said this about this man, and y'all basically ignored me, as y'all always do, as y'all going to do. But it's okay, because once I am a popular podcaster, YouTuber, show person, whatever, y'all gonna start paying attention to what I say. Because I don't lie. I don't need to lie to you. When I first told y'all that I met this man and he was not a nice man, y'all ignored me. But it's cool. Okay, because I'm a little fish in a big pond. Okay, and eventually I'm gonna be the big fish in the big pond. But until then, I'm gonna continue to give y'all the ebbs and flows. Okay, but told y'all he wasn't a nice man and that his attitude was not the best. And then he turns around, he spits on Jalen Ramsey, and Jalen Ramsey basically like it was ready to go. He was like, it's on site. And then Jalen Ramsey says, I hit him because he spit on me. And after that is up. There is nothing else about it. And then in his post game, he was like, I didn't spit on him. I never opened my mouth toward him. I don't know him. He pulled the Mariah Carey. I don't know him. Who's that? Who? Lying. But the fact that people thought that he was going to tell the truth, it was crazy. Like, y'all thought that he was going to tell the truth? Come on. Come on. No. Did I think it would be a blatant lie like that? No. But I didn't think I wasn't expecting the truth either. So after, the NFL did their thing, which thankfully they did, he got suspended for one game. And that means he's going to be forfeiting nearly $500,000 for game pay because he got suspended without pay. Of course, he's going to appeal it. And low key, just if I was the NFL, which I'm not, and that's why I'm not, because the Lord is still working on my heart. You appealing our decision, knowing that you spit on that man, knowing that you lied, and knowing that we have it on video. Okay, so now we're going to suspend you for 2 games for questioning us now and questioning and lying and then spitting at the same time. Enjoy, or I will up the money, up the fine. Yeah, but that's why I'm not the NFL. That's why I don't run investigations because they can't be petty. I think that the NFL is petty, and there's no tea, no shade. I think they are a little bit petty, but that's why they do it and they run their operation the way that they do. So I think that like I said, Jalen Carter was suspended for, he got ejected. So that was his quote unquote suspension. And then he got a fine, right? For spitting on Dak Prescott and being ejected from the game. So everybody was like, oh, that was fair, because he literally didn't even get to play like for real, a snap before he spit on the man. So he was really out there. That was his 1 game suspension. So if he got a 1 game suspension, why do you think that you're not going to get a 1 game suspension when you did exactly what you said you did not do? They got it on video and you played the entire game. You didn't get ejected. You played the entire rest of the game after you spit on somebody. And then you think that they're not going to suspend you after the fact? You're crazy. You're crazy to think that they wasn't going to suspend you and take your money. I really think that if he got suspended with pay, he wouldn't be appealing. But he's appealing because he's getting suspended without pay. Well, I think they took your pay because you lied. That's how I feel. I think that's what it is. I think they took your pay because you lied. So don't lie next time. Actually, don't spit next time. But if you is going to spit on somebody, don't lie. Be man enough to say, yeah, I spit on him. I don't like him. I don't respect him, so I spit on him. He's beneath me. At least say something like that. Don't go out there and lie and then use horrible grammar at the same time, making your school look bad. Because who did your homework? Anyway, moving on. I only have 2 more topics. So, Steve Kerr basically came out and was saying that he felt as though that the NBA was, the speed and the pressure of the NBA now. He didn't say pressure, but really everything that comes into it was basically pressure from the mileage of the game, how fast it's moving, the condensed 82 games, and all of the other stuff that's going on. He feels as though that this NBA, schedule structure the way that it is now is, reason for some of these soft tissue injuries. So when you look at it, there's a lot of players that are just out with soft tissue injuries. Giannis is now out for 1 week with a groin injury. And I've had a groin injury and I was out for like 8 weeks. I don't know how. Giannis must have like a really like it must not be like a real bad groin strain, because baby, the groin is nothing to play with. It is some of the most worst pain in the world. So I can only imagine, and they're literally statues. They're so tall. So I can only imagine the pain that he feels going, when he moves the leg, and oh my goodness. My dancer had a groin injury and she was out for 3 weeks. And I saw it. We saw it when she pulled out the game, and it was so horrible. So Giannis is out. Let's get back on track. Giannis is out for at least a week with a groin injury. Then you have Wemby is out with a calf injury, and he's going to be out for multiple weeks. Castle, who's also on the Spurs, is out with a hip flexor injury. He's going to be out for 1 to 2 weeks. Other NBA stars or players that are currently also injured with soft tissue injuries: Anthony Davis. We're not surprised there, though. Anthony Davis has a calf strain along with these other players: Ty Jerome, Dylan Harper, Ja Morant, and Jrue Holiday. All have issues going on with their calves. And Steve Kerr is just like, I'm nervous, and I think that the NBA and this whatever schedule, whenever we're doing, is having cause for these injuries, and something needs to give. We need to figure something out, because there's nothing gonna be the season's gonna be plagued with injuries. It's already plagued with injuries, and it's like, whoa. So I think he has a point. I think he has a point. And I think that the medical doctors and some of the staff that are also just saying, like, yeah, this could also be a part of that. I think it's the point. So I think this is going to be a very long NBA season, because a lot of our players that we love to see on the court, like Ja, like Wemby, because I know I'm obsessed with Wemby. So these players that you want to see, Giannis on the court, that always deliver and always gives you something to watch, gives you really great basketball, you are not going to be able to see them as often as you like, because I feel like these injuries are gonna keep hop, skipping, and jumping. So Steve Kerr actually might have a real valid point. I think he does. And my last topic of the night is Ja Morant. So I seen Carmelo Anthony's podcast. I seen just the clips of it. I didn't know he had a podcast, but he be on there, and he be saying it exactly like it is. He real New York. He real New York on that podcast. He is. And one of the topics, Matt Barnes also has a podcast, and I seen this clip about Ja as well. So a lot of talk about Ja Morant, and basically Matt Barnes was really talking about, like, kind of like his decline, and like how he's taken himself from here to here, and how he can get back up. And Carmelo Anthony kind of said the same thing, but he would just really tell him, like, it's really time to grow up and to really recognize, like, who you are, and to be who you are, and to, like, cut out the BS. He said some other words, but I'm not gonna say those on here, right? And I actually agree, because when I think about it, from when I started this platform, maybe not the Daily Dose with Dez show. That was a mouthful. But when I was doing Locker Talk and What's Tea Wednesday, and this we've evolved. We've come a long way. Okay, we used to be on an iPhone just like this, looking at me, looking at this, and now I'm like this. You get it. But anyway, so they're talking about how Ja Morant came into the league and was one of the most explosive players to watch, one of the most fun players to watch. He had so much, behind him. He was going to be the new face of the league, and if one of the new faces of the league. And they, spoke so highly of him, and he just kind of took his self with his off-court behavior and really started to diminish that light of who he was on the court. Sometimes it didn't bother. Sometimes, things overlap, from when he got in trouble with the weapons and the pew-pews the first time, and it didn't overshine his play because he still was on the court doing his thing. And then, the second time with the pew-pews and, his circle putting it on the internet, and he getting caught with it. It's like, okay, now let's dim a little light. And then, him facing injuries at the same point is like, okay, injuries don't dim your light, but it does take your spotlight away for a little bit, because you're not on the court. They cannot see the player that they love to see, so that light kind of pulls off a little bit. And in his case, he happened just like we are now. He's injured, but he also was just in some trouble. So now it's like, dude, right? He was supposed to be one of those faces for the NBA that was coming in that was just bright, fun to watch, brilliant, highly skilled, great basketball player. And he still is all of these things. But there is some disconnect with him and Memphis right now, currently. And Carmelo Anthony thinks that he needs a new start. That he needs to just like, one, he needs to get himself together, get his act together, grow up, and get a fresh start with a new team somewhere else. Other people are saying, no, he don't need a fresh start with another team. He just needs to get together. He need to pull it in. But I think at this point it's so far gone where I think he does need a fresh start. He need to go somewhere else. He need to pull it in. But in order for him to go somewhere else, he's going to have to pull it in. He's going to have to change his behavior. He's going to have to really buy into a system and buy into a program and really show up and be the team member that he is going to be needed to be if he's going to be on any other team. I don't think that Memphis wants to necessarily get rid of him. I think that he's brought so much limelight to Memphis. He's brought so much just like explosiveness and like energy to the court for Memphis that that's not something that they want to lose. But the relationship between Ja Morant and the Memphis Grizzlies is I feel like it's very tumultuous at this point. And I feel like at some point it's going to explode and something detrimental is going to happen. But right now he's out on injury, so it kind of like lets it die down for a little bit. But when he comes back, is it going to just get riled back up, or is things going to just stay coasting, smooth sailing from here? So I don't know. I think that everybody that I watched did have very valid points about him. And I do remember him coming into the league and everybody was super excited about him. And even though he was getting in trouble, they still were kind of like, come on, child, like we pulling for you, we rooting for you, you know? It's kind of like the thing with like Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards is like the villain of the NBA. And I think that he's okay with that. You know, like when I think you think of villains, you think of like Anthony Edwards, Draymond Green. You think all these people who are just like literally just villains. And a lot of times their villainry, and I may just made it up, but their villain, I'm gonna say their villainous, right? You see it on the court. You may see it a little bit off the court but it's more basketball related, but it's more so on the court. And I know Anthony Edwards has had his thing with, you know, with his, you know, run-ins and things like that, but he's trying to handle it. I'm freezing up here. Somebody get off. So he tried to handle it quietly, silently, and put it aside and get back to basketball. So I think that's what Ja Morant needs to do. Just get back to basketball and leave it at that. Okay? So because I'm freezing, I'm going to get off here anyway. But make sure you are liking, sharing, and subscribing on all social media platforms at PG Love Sports, Pretty Girls Love Sports. This is the Daily Dose with Dez Show. I am Dez. I love you all for all that you do. Please make sure you are supporting. That's all I ask you to do is support it any way that you can, even if it's just a subscribe. If you can support only by subscribing, to subscribe. Tell a friend and tell a friend and tell a friend to subscribe, because we're growing an actual community over here that's really meaningful and that's really positive and really authentic. So thanks for all that you do. I can't wait to see you guys on the next one, which will be Thursday night. I may be a little bit late,